Hello everybody and welcome to Clydebridge Station. This is a little how-to video today. I've decided to do something to improve the terminus, and that is to install this. You can't really see it clearly because of where I've positioned it, where I've had to position it. It's a multi-train departures board, or a next train indicator departures board, multi-platform. Quite a mouthful. The kit is from Scale Model Scenery in Cornwall, and the link is in the description of this video to the particular product. In addition to that, I've also got some individual platform indicators that I've installed on platforms 1 to 3, and I'll be showing you how I'm making names. So what we're going to do is we're going to get underway and get started building. So we'll go back in time and talk you through the process. Okay, so I'm making a start here now with the departures board. We're actually in another garden shed in the property rather than my model railway shed, because there's a bit more space for me to do here. And I've got to cut out 3 of these and glue them together, which I'm doing like so. And what I'll then do is I'll glue them together with rocket card glue. There is actually as well, I'll just put that down there on the ground now. There is actually this laser cut map, so it tells you what bits you need for whatever it is you're building, and they're lettered as per the instructions, so it's really good this. And I've got some stuff that I need as well. I've got the rocket card glue you can see there, and this is for later on when I build the base bit. Now unfortunately, with it being in the lockdown now, we can't get to the local model shop, but I had this in my garage, car primer. It'll do the same job. You'll need a glue stick. This is Pritt stick, but any glue stick will be suitable. And what I'm also going to need is a cutting blade, and I don't have a mat to do cutting on, a craft mat, so I'm going to have to try and improvise. But the first thing I've got to do is to put rocket card glue on and glue each of these together, and that is what we're going to do. And you'll notice as well it's got little perforations there. That's if you wanted to make it just a 6 screen display. I'm going to keep mine an 8 screen display. So what I'll do is I'll get that bit glued on, and then we'll work on the next bit. So that's that bit drying there. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to cut out the right instructions here. It says cut out wrap C1. Now C1 is this here, and there's 2 supplied. Again, I'm only going to be using 1, and it gets cut out very carefully, and then what I'll be able to do is get that folded correctly and carefully, and that's where the Pritt stick will be coming into use, because that'll then get stuck on to this bit here. So I'm going to leave that to dry. I'll need to go into the shed to get some scissors, unless I've got some in the greenhouse. So I'll go and get them, and we'll get that cut out. And I'm also going to cut out C2, one of these. These are actually for a different thing on the layout, but we'll come to that later on. So we'll get this C1 and C2 cut out. Now once that's done, what I'll then do is I'll get them folded and ready, and then we'll see where we are from there. Okay, so that's them cut out, C1 and C2. I actually remember the last time I was on holiday at Butland's holiday camp in 1994 at Skegness. The chalet we stayed in was a C1. That was on the Roman side, the red camp on the other side of the road under the subway. But anyway, I digress. So what you've got to do is trim it to the length, leaving a little of the length on one side to create a matching tab on the end that you're trimming. But we've went for the full length here, so we don't need to worry about that. And what I've got to do now is glue this. I'll get the Pritt stick out, and I'll just pop that down there. Now, Pritt stick is safe for children to use above 3 years old, but I would always say to any adults, if you've got children that are quite young, my advice would be to supervise them if you're using Pritt Stick. And there's some things that I'm doing here that I would say should not be done by children. The cutting out with the scissors there, the gluing of the stacks, and also don't let children use the aerosol paint I'm going to be using later on. So what happens now is, this is supposed to sit in like that, and you, there we go, it's that way. Now very carefully put that on there, very carefully, and what we're going to do then is start to fold these little tabs up and over. Now don't worry if there's not enough glue on it, because you always put more on, and that's certainly been the case here. So put that over there, and what I'll do is I'll run another bead of Pritt Stick down there. Don't use the rocket card glue on this, because it'll actually on the paper, because it will actually ruin your whole thing. Only use the Pritt Stick. I should have actually scored these lines before folding them. So what I'll do is I'll do it with that one. I'll just get that folded over a little bit, so that's right, and we'll get, for some reason the glue hasn't really got on well there at all. I don't want to take it back off. Put that down here a minute. I might have to use more of that Pritt Stick, and I don't want to rush this. I've been advised not to rush it, so I've got that on there. What I'm now going to do is weigh it down, and to do that, now this is bordering on the extreme, what I'm going to use to weigh it down. A tin of Dulux paint, so I'll get that in there. Now that tin of Dulux paint is weighing that down. What I'm going to do, well, progress is seen. That's the tall pillar there. They'll get glued together shortly. And this is the base bit. Whoops, a daisy. I might need to re-glue that. And then what will happen is I'll glue them together. And I've actually started gluing this support bit on the scaffold as well. I've got another two to get out, which are there, and then they'll get glued together. Once I've got that bit done, what will then happen is I'll be able to start putting that bit together. I've then got to put the rail on that the next train indicator board will sit on, and then once I get that done, I'll be ready to spray it before putting the next train indicator board on. So there's still quite a bit to do. While I'm here though, I'm just as well having a little look and seeing how this is. Okay, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. When you're doing this, make sure that the X's are pointing up the way. And that's vitally important. So I'm going to stick that on next, and it should go on something akin to that. There we go. So I'll get that on. That'll get glued on, and then I'll get it weighed down again, just to make sure everything's okay. And once that's done, that'll be the indicator bit ready for it. So it's very simple. You just get Pritt Stick, and you notice it is coming up there, which is a bit unfortunate. It's not really adhering well, and that's partly my fault. I left that, by the way, for a good 10 minutes to get weighed down, and so should you. So what I'm going to do now is, as you can see there, make sure the X's are still towards the top, which they are. And we'll get that on. And once again, I'll get the paint pot on the top of it, and that'll weigh it down, and I'll leave that for another 10 to 15 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to try and get the other part of the bracket here done and get that all glued together, and that'll get left for a few minutes. And while I'm here, if you ever do get stuck with this one, on the Scale Model Scenery website, and that's their address there, by the way, for this particular product, the page link is actually in the description below. There is also a link on that to showing you how to build this as well, so you can get a look at how to build it before you actually have a go at it. And it gives you a lot more detail here than what is actually in the instructions there. So that's how it would look there. And it gives you also all sorts of hints and tips there. So that's going to be the next bit I'm going to do off camera, is start to glue all these bits together and get that glued in. We'll have a look at where we are from there. So there we go, that's what we've got at now. I must confess it didn't slide in, and I had to actually glue it all together at the bottom here. That was a bit of a tight fit, and I've actually just put some rocket card glue in to the scaffold just to be absolutely sure. What's to go next is, well, we're just about ready to go out and do the spraying. That's actually the one for platform 1. Don't know if you can see that clearly. Edinburgh. Oh, there we go, that's it. What I'm going to have to do next is put a bead of glue along there. That'll get stuck onto the rail. I'll leave that to dry, and then that'll be ready to go up onto the layout. I've made another 2 of these now for the individual platforms. What I've had to do is I've took some cocktail sticks, I've broke them into half, and I've put primer on them, and I'm going to glue the cocktail sticks to the back of that, and then I'll glue it into position at the platform. Basically meaning what we'll have is these will be supported by pretty thick pillars, but they'll do the job nonetheless. And that's the thing, if you're a bit unsure about things, have a look even in your local supermarket. I've just, say, bought cocktail sticks. So the next shot you see will be inside the layout at last, with all the stuff done. And that's it now installed. I've had to make a bit of a compromise. I couldn't put it on the concourse floor. It would have just been too narrow, the area. So what I've done instead is I've actually mounted it on the wall here in front of platforms 2 and 3. So it's actually still visible if I turn around here to people coming from the main entrance. And that's the individual indicator boards on platforms 1, 2 and 3 installed. So what will be done off camera is the boards for 4, 5 and 6 will get installed, and I'll put 2 little boards here to simulate full departures and full arrivals. Now if you fancy having a go at making one of these yourself, then the link to the Scale Model Scenery website is in the description, and on that link to the website for this particular product, there's also a link in it in the page where you can actually have a look at the instructions, which is what I was doing as well as reading the instructions supplied. And as I say, take your time with it. This is actually taken to install these 3 individual boards and make this big board has taken about 90 minutes in total. So take your time with it, stop and have a breather at times, is like what I done. The next challenge for me is going to be building a wall to replace this whole wall along here, and again that's from Scale Model Scenery. When that comes, that'll be the subject of another video. So that's where I've got up to now on the layout. There will be a short update for February where I'll be detailing the rubbish that I've put down on the platform, and I'll go into a bit more detail about what's going to happen with the wall. So in the meantime, thank you very much for watching, and if you do decide to go and build one of these, the best of luck. Goodbye for now.